Hi guys, it's Dena with Dinner Made Easy with Dena, and we are going to go ahead and we're going to make a hamburger gravy. This is definitely Southern comfort food, and I'm going to show you how to pull that together without buying a gravy mix. Super easy, super flavorful, and you are going to be amazed at how good it is. So stay tuned, guys. Okay, so we're going to start with turning our burner onto a medium high heat. Now I have about a half a pound of ground beef, and I'm just going to break it up into my skillet like this, and then we're going to season it up. Now my mom is singing in the background. If you can hear her, she's singing her country music, and it's old classic country, and she loves it. So my mom is she's almost 90, so we pretty much just let her do whatever she feels like. Okay, so I use some sea salt, and I'm going to go in with some pepper. There we go. I'm going to add just a little bit of garlic. This is, excuse me, why isn't it coming out? Well, I guess if I take the lid off, it'll come out, right? So this is garlic powder and not garlic salt. I always cook with the powder whenever possible because you can always add the salt. And this is to taste, whatever you like. So that's probably about a half a teaspoon, okay? And then, of course, as you know, we always use this. This is our Lowry's, and I'm going to do about a half a teaspoon of that as well. So we're going to let that hamburger or ground beef brown. You don't need a lot of meat for this recipe because you're making a gravy. Back in the olden days, when our grandparents were our age or whatever, they ate a lot like this because it was during the Depression, and people just couldn't afford a lot. So they made do with what they had. And hamburger gravy was one of those staples that they used. And you could stretch it if you had a lot of mouths to feed. You would just add more flour and more milk so you'd have a bigger gravy. And potatoes were cheap, and a lot of people could grow their own. So that was a nice cheap meal that would fill up your family for a really reasonable price. So, you know, during Depression, people had to be really careful with how they spent their money. There just wasn't a lot of money to be had during that time. So I've learned a lot of great tips from my dad and my mom and my grandmother when she was alive about how to stretch things when you're on a budget and what foods work well together. This happens to be one of our comfort foods, and even though it wasn't Depression when I was growing up, this was a favorite in our household. So every once in a while, my mom would make this for dinner, and we just thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be a good dinner tonight. None of that same old fried chicken or pork chops. We're going to have hamburger gravy, and my goodness, it was going to be delicious. And it always was. So I'm using 2080 ground beef. You can use whatever, you know, you can use the 93.7 or whatever. You could even use turkey, ground turkey or ground chicken if you prefer. But this is what I had on hand. So we're going to go with the ground beef. And it's, you know, actually, oh, I hate to say it out loud, but it's my favorite of all the grounds is the ground beef. And then I think behind that would be the ground turkey. I like that a lot too. Okay. So we're almost there. We're going to let that burn up just a little bit more. And then we're going to add flour. And like I said, you want to do this to your taste. You can use other spices if you like, but if you've never made this before, just your basic salt and pepper will do a good job. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put some flour in. Now we want to put enough flour that it's going to absorb whatever oil is in the pan from the ground beef. And like I said, if your meat is really, really lean and you want to make more gravy than the juice is left in your pan, add a little bit of vegetable oil. You can even add butter if you really wanted to. Butter has a tendency to burn, so I would probably opt for that vegetable oil. And then you can put in as much flour as you want to put in. I'm going to just a tiny bit more. We don't need a ton, but just a little more. There we go. And make sure you keep stirring and scrape the bottom of the pan as you go, because there's so much flavor in those little pieces of fondant on the bottom of the pan. And boy, that really makes a difference in your gravy. It'll really bring it up. So the rule of thumb about flour, when you're making a gravy, let it cook for about a minute or so. Maybe a little longer, it just depends how much you have in here, because you want to cook that raw flour taste out. If you don't, then you're going to get a floury tasting gravy that's probably not your best. So, you know, take a minute and cook that flour out so that you don't get that taste. About a minute, minute and a half should do it. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm going to get my milk ready, and you guys all know what kind of milk I use. So I, of course, use the evaporated milk, and I get a lot of groans. Okay, well, let me explain to you why. Okay, the reason I do it is because it makes a creamier gravy. It does not curdle. It gives you a really, really wonderful taste. And you're not having to worry about whether your milk is going to separate. It won't. This will not. And so I'm going to be using, and you can reconstitute it using half evaporated milk and half water. So if I use a cup of water, then I'm going to use a cup of evaporated milk. If you want it a little richer, go a quarter of a cup more of the evaporated milk than you do of the water. But all in all, it's going to be absolutely delicious. Okay, so we're going to go in with, this is our evaporated milk. Okay, and now we're going to go in with some water, and that's about a cup of water. So I went a cup of evaporated milk and a cup of water. Now, if this starts to thicken too much, add more milk, add more water. Okay, if it's too thin, just keep cooking it on simmer until it starts to thicken up to the desired consistency that you'd like. Don't ever try adding flour in to a cream gravy once you've added your milk. Okay, so we're going to turn that burner up a little bit to about a medium high. When I was cooking the flour, I had it on a low setting so that I didn't burn the flour. But once the milk goes in, bring that temperature back up to about a medium high until it starts to get just a little bit of a sign of boiling, and then turn it back down to medium low and just keep stirring. We're going to go ahead and turn that down now because it's starting to go. I'm going to keep stirring. And the same thing, once you put the milk in, you want to cook it. Okay, because if you don't give it time to cook, you're not going to get that really rich, wonderful flavor. So give it time. Take your time. Do not try to rush. It's not going to go anywhere. And if you're going to take the trouble to do it, come on guys, do it right. It's easy. You can do this, I promise. See, I think I got a little more milk in there than I really wanted. So I'm gonna let this cook a little bit. This goes great over biscuits. This is a wonderful dinner gravy. It's a wonderful breakfast gravy. Oh, it's just good all the way around. This is gonna go over mashed potatoes today. Your basic sausage gravy for biscuits and gravy is made exactly like this. The only difference is you're using a breakfast sausage. And I am using ground beef right now because this is more of a dinner. But you make it however you choose to. Just don't be afraid to give it a try. Okay, I think this is looking good now. We are gonna give this a taste and see if we need to add more salt and pepper, which we probably do. I tend to go really light in the beginning because we can always add to, but you know, you can't take away. Let's give this a little try. I'm gonna taste that. Doesn't that look good? Yep. We definitely need a little more salt and pepper. And there again, season to your taste, okay? Like lots of pepper. There we go. Oh, that looks wonderful. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this burner off. So I cooked the gravy for probably 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes, to get it to the consistency where I wanted it. I know I'm double dipping, but nobody's eating this but me, right? Oh, perfect. All right, now let's get this ready on our mashed potatoes and we're gonna give it a try. Okay, so our mashed potatoes and hamburger gravy is all ready to go. There it is. This is true Southern comfort food, guys. If you haven't tried it, please give it a try. So we're gonna taste this. Oh. Now, if this doesn't make you want to curl up in your jammies and read a good book, man, I don't know what does. This is excellent. Great comfort food, super, super easy, pretty quick. Give it a try. Let me know how you enjoy this. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. Thanks a lot, you guys. I really appreciate you sticking with me and watching these videos. It is my pleasure to do that. I've had so many people ask me how to do just basic things, so that's why I do the things that I do. This is amazing. Give it a shot. Thanks a lot, guys. You take care. We'll see you next time.